So we checked out the docu-series, the four-part docu-series, Wu-Tang
Yes.
Clan of Mics and Men.
Yes.
This aired on Showtime, a station I
Yeah.
haven't checked out in quite some time actually.
I
Of
just
course, I was
I forget I forgot I have Showtime. I was like, oh yeah, I have Showtime.
yeah, I don't know. I think since Penny Dreadful ended, I think that's when I kind of stopped watching
Pretty
Showtime.
much.
No, actually, when Twin Peaks, the revival ended,
Right.
that's when I stopped watching Showtime. Now. But I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, right? They actually still have good shows. You know what I mean? Like they have
Yeah.
what is it, the Chai, the Shy, sorry, which I really need to check out. I hear a lot of great things about it.
Right.
But you know, the season two started already. I started already, so at least I had time to catch up. But anyway, so
There's one show. Did you see Black Monday? I think it's a okay show. I heard. I think I
Black
have
Monday.
Showtime. Yeah. Think so. That's with John Cheadle.
Oh, okay. I think I've
That's
heard
on
that.
Showtime. I think
Yeah.
so. I had to look it up.
All right. But yeah, this was one that I was excited for one main reason. Of course, is the Wu-Tang Clan. For
Yep.
those who don't know, and it's funny that this came out roughly half a year after the 25th anniversary of the debut album, Enter the Wu-Tang 26 Chambers,
Yeah.
which still remains my second favorite album of all time. First
Right.
being Tribe Quest, Midnight Marauders. But yeah, for me, the Wu-Tang Clan, just like when I heard that album for the first time, that just changed my life. And the thing is, like, I was always aware of who they were, like, songs that they put out, like, videos like Gravel Pit and, stuff like that, they
Yeah.
have a rotation. But like the first time when I actually heard their debut album, that's when it clicked for me. And I was like, okay, this is like one of the best groups ever. This album is one of the greatest I've ever heard in my life. The gritty, raw style, how they were referencing Kung Fu flicks. It literally didn't feel like they were just pulling samples from like VHS copies of Kung Fu flicks and just making
Yeah.
it all dark and murky and gritty there, and it just reflected Staten Island, where they were from and whatnot. And I don't know, I just fell in love with that album. I just needed to check out a majority of the other albums because they are well 9 members and you have your Wu affiliates, one of which actually shows up here by the name of Capadonna, and pretty much he's just here to fill the place of Old Dirty Bastard, rest in peace. He passed away in 2006, right?
2006 or 2004?
I think it was 2006, if I'm not mistaken. Probably, either 2004 or 2006. It's either one of those years. I should check that up. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I mean, the Wu-Tang Clan has always resonated with me. Like the early stuff has always resonated with me, just in terms of the creativity, the rawness that they bring to the lyrics. That whole cipher, like everybody, like all the 9 members of the group, always kind of came with different personalities. So if it's like Jizza, for example, I always saw him as like the samurai in the group. Like he's just that guy who you wouldn't even cross, but if he cross, like if you step to him, you know what I mean, he will use his tongue as a sword and just decimate you. That kind of style. Ghostface Killer, who still remains the most consistent member of the group in terms of putting out material. Like
Yeah.
every year or every 2 years or so, he always puts out solid material. So, I mean, and his style, the way how he just comes up with slang on the fly is just so infectious to me. Raekwon the chef, the grimy, coke dealing, that sort of mafioso kind of character. I love that. RZA, of course, the guy who just put everything together. The beats and all that kind of stuff. He always infuses a lot of Eastern philosophy, and also what they touch on in this show here, the 5% ideology, that religion and whatnot.
Right. Right.
Who else? We have Master Killer. His name is pretty much inspired by one of their primary influences, 26 Shima Shaolin. He was always like one of the most underrated members of the group. I think he came in last. I think that's the reason
Right.
why they called him that, though, because he had to work his way to get there. But yeah, he was still one of the. I would say he was like one of the best members there, but he still did his thing there. Uh, but speaking of underrated, you got it. I always felt like
Yeah.
he was one of the most underrated in the group at all, but I think just mainly because he didn't get as much shine as I thought he could have. But I know, like, he just always had this kind of griminess about it. That's the way how he looks, the way how he talks. Is just
Yeah.
always something kind of grimy about him. There. Inspector Deck, has some of like the best verses I've ever heard, like in Wu-Tang songs. I mean, look at the intro for Triumph, for example. That
Yeah.
that first alone, those first 4 lines is just legendary. You know what I mean? Of course, we have Method Man. Just that raspy voice, always sounds like he just, like he just smoking blunts and just come and rap, you know what I mean? And, like in the early days, he always used to come in with these sort of pop culture references, but then it just started to get like grimy and stuff like that. But, he was always one of the standout members of the group because of his voice, you know what I mean? And am I forgetting anybody else? I don't think so. No.
Well,
Well, we
well,
could kind of mention Old Dirty Bastard.
yeah.
Yeah. Him just being the wild man in the group, with his kind of drunken.
Advantage, sir.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Method.
Um, I mentioned them. I mentioned Raekwon, Ghostface, Inspector Deck, Hugo, and Master Killer. So I did mention Old Dirty Bastard there. Yeah. Even though he did pass away, he was to me one of the standouts in the group because of how animated he was. He was just like that
Yeah, it was a kind of
one
and he was a
console.
kind of a folk hero almost for
Yeah,
just starting in particular. But you
exactly.
find you want to take okay. So I put this up there with Beats Rhymes Life. The Michael Rapaport doc.
Yeah, of A Tribe Called Quest, which I love.
Very
As
very similar approach. It's
yes,
it's clearly them kind of controlling the narrative, but it doesn't go. So they go kind of dark sometimes, but it don't go too dark with it. Because it didn't get into too much of the really dark side of Old Duty, unfortunately.
yeah,
Um,
which I thought they were going to do, but I
I didn't do it.
understand in the context of things they had to, in the context of things that they had to kind of just show the good in him, and that's so much bad, really.
Which I didn't mind. It was something I didn't, for the sake of the documentary, you didn't really need to go into all of that, but it was, it works. What they did with it today. Anyway, yeah, they just tell us a workable narrative story, especially, and those first two parts in particular, I think is very, very well done.
Yes, I totally agree with you.
Yeah,
One thing I really loved about the show, well, two things actually I love about it that I didn't catch, I didn't see coming actually, but I thought this was like a really brave and bold way to tell their story because we're talking about 25 years in their career and even before that, like even years
right.
before that, right? So it's only so much you could tell within 4 60-minute episodes, right? So I love the setup of it, sorry. You have all the members, well, 8 including Capadonna, right? Who, like I say, is a pretty much an affiliate. They call it like the Wu affiliate there. So they all sitting down in like this old New York theater there, right? Like a theater basically. And what I love
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it, it kind of like resembles like because they grew up on kung fu flicks. Like apart from the whole VHS stuff and buying tapes and whatnot, you'd imagine them going to like a cinema on a Saturday and watching these flicks anyway. So see them there sitting down and talking about each other just made it really personal. Made it more like a reunion of sorts. You know what I mean? That's all them just looking back at the good old days and all that kind of stuff, right? That's one. Secondly, and this is the true strength of the show, the archival footage, boy. There's some
right.
footage that they use, and I think a majority of it comes from Wu-Tang itself, from their archives. 'Cause I saw like a few clips I remember from this hip hop documentary called The Show. One in particular was when they went to Japan to perform. Those
Yeah,
moments I remember that was in that documentary. A few others was some like YouTube clips, some other interviews from other shows and whatnot. But majority of the stuff that you see is stuff that they recorded over the years, and that really is the strength of this movie because it just shows so much about them. Stuff that even if you call yourself a diehard Wu-Tang fan, you wouldn't even know half of these things. I just so in depth now, like see them outside, you see them in the hood. Had one
right.
scene when you were just talking about the album, well, promoting Record album, and you hear gunshots. It's like, yeah, we live this shit. It's real, man. Another scene involving Record where, like, I think it's like his manager, somebody got stopped by the cops, and the cops searching
Yeah,
his car and all that kind of stuff. And it's just so powerful though because of how real it is. But one moment that really, really, really hit me though was You Gun. And I didn't even think that the film would have spent it doesn't spend too much time on him, but it spent more than enough time on him that I was actually surprised by the amount of screen time he got. But it's a
yeah,
moment where we found out that his son, who's just like, probably a couple of years old, got shot. And
yeah,
that actually shocked me. Like I didn't even know that happened. You know what I mean? And then there's a moment afterwards with him talking to his son, and basically his you got just stressed about how life is. It's like, yeah, it's all shit's fucked up, all that kind of stuff there. And his son's like, Daddy, you should be cursing. He's like, yeah, I'm stressed out, man. Like, you shouldn't be stressed out. I should be stressed out. And that was just such a powerful moment, so poignant in a way that, what I mean? Just the reality that they have to live in, and yet still they rise above that and just pursue this career
Yeah,
in music. I think that's like the real,
yeah. They
strength
do a
of
good
half
job,
the movie.
they do a good job of just highlighting a lot of just real struggles of the hood. Police shenanigans. Economics. Yeah, it's a surprising political documentary.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, they
Um,
get into the which is where Ghostface talking about the family had to raise his brothers. I think either what wrong with them.
I forget what it was, but
Yeah,
well, his younger brothers, his two younger brothers had some condition basically, so he had to
right,
take care of them, like literally
right.
carry them to the toilet and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
There, they couldn't even go outside to play, all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
There, and it was just having to do that. Like he had to be the father figure because, well, his
right.
dad wasn't there. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
that was a topic that he touched on well, one of his most popular songs, All I Got Is You, featuring Mary J.
Yeah,
Blige, a really sweet, powerful song. But he was more or less talking about like the conditions, having to share the bed with his brothers and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't know about the conditions that
yeah,
his brothers had. So they really go in depth. There's some stuff where it's like, yeah, boy, I see the struggle. But as you mentioned, economics. This is something I also love about it because one thing they highlight was RZA's older brother. He calls himself sorry, not Power, Divine, right?
yeah,
And he
yeah,
was and he was like a manager to them there. But what I
yeah, yeah.
like is that there's moments like especially in the second half of the series itself, where he talk about he had a he was trying to get money from the group, because he managed them,
Well,
right? Well,
okay.
promoting them,
So yeah,
sorry.
I like what they did with that because they just talk about the idea of building wealth and what they should
Yes.
invest in, when they should have invested in it. And Jay-Z talk about this a little bit as well, where hey, they could buy properties for relatively cheap back in the 90s, and now it
Yeah.
would have been worth a lot more. Stuff like
Yeah.
that, and then kind of drum them out, and they put that argument reasonably balanced, I think,
Yes.
because
Yes. It
you
did.
get the
Yeah.
feeling that he really had a sense of forethought, but he's a kind of asshole about it. So
That's the thing, yeah.
like,
And like I had this great moment once again with the archival footage. I believe this is around the time when the Wu-Tang Forever album came out and they just shut the superstardom, right? And the
yeah,
quarreling about well is Raekwon and Ghostface complain about how they get the proper pay and all that kind of stuff. They get the amount they expect to get. But in RZA's brothers' defense, it's just like, well, hey, I had to make money too there. And if
yeah,
you just think back about where they come from, where they raised, it's like, well, yo, I have this opportunity here. You kind of pretty much give me this opportunity to be part of the team. I ain't a rapper,
yeah,
but I know how to manage money, right? So
yeah,
what I supposed to do? Just let all you take more money and I can get done for myself. So the argument
yeah,
that they had make perfect sense given their background and where they come from or what they had to deal with. So that's one thing I love about the show where even though they come from, these really low conditions and now they're the stratosphere of music, they still had to deal with, economical shit. They had to deal with, hey, I want more money, I deserve more money, that kind of thing. So they still have to deal with the dark side of the American dream now. So I thought that was
yeah.
really good.
Yeah,
Uh,
they did that. They did, and well, speaking of that as well, they get because what I like about it, they balance. They had a nice sense of balance for a lot of things because you mentioned that part of them having to build wealth and where building wealth matters, and then you get to see the dark side of making money, where you have this I think Arabic rapper or something like that was working
no,
with.
oh gosh, it was Silver Rings,
So right,
who I
right,
didn't even know was no, he was a European. He's from Amsterdam actually. Yeah, I
okay,
always heard the name. I always heard the name as a Wu affiliate, but I just never really followed up on Wu
right,
affiliate albums. But yeah,
right,
and well, as you bring up that, so what I like about this what caught me by surprise too is that the film itself doesn't really go album by album like say Beats, Rhymes, and Life did, right? They
right.
really touch primarily on three albums,
And the
which
big
is
highlights.
this album, Anthony Wu-Tang, Wu-Tang Forever, which came out in 1997, the double album, which pretty much shot them to platinum status. And
Yeah,
personally, it's not an album that I love because I find it was just a little too moody and heavy on the whole 5%, ideology stuff. That's just my opinion, but you know, but it did shoot them to superstar. That was cool. But what catch more off guard though is when they actually touch on Once Upon a Time in Sheldon, which I remember
yeah,
when I heard about it, I was like, hey, well, I wonder when we gonna get to listen to this. It's like, well,
yeah,
no, this is an art piece, so nobody really gonna hear about it, And then, well, this scumbag of a what's his name again?
Scully.
Yeah, Skrelly, right, yeah. End up
Yeah.
getting it, and then all that stuff with him raising the price of this
The
particular
AIDS drug.
medicine, yeah, for
And a
AIDS and
little back
whatnot.
and forth with Ghostface. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you see a little shot where he had the two women come and was talking about they had the thing on the shirts. I actually remember
Yeah.
when he posted that video on YouTube. Like that was around the time when Ghostface was just getting angry at people like Action Bronson. I just started
Yeah.
playing up YouTube videos like him just being pissed off now. So I actually remember that one clip with him talk with the two ladies, and that was real cool. But I love how they just focus on those three. They did kind of hint a bit at Iron Flag, right? Which was the album that they brought out. I think it was 2000, 2001, right? Um, and what's funny about that is that Capadonna, who ended up joining the group at the time because old dirty bastard was in prison at the time, right?
Yeah.
So there was some issue with him and management and him not gaining enough money. And they touched on it in the show, but thankfully they kind of stopped it at a particular point because they want to make everybody else seem to be assholes about it now. So remember that shot where they were in the desert and they had like the army gear on, right? And that was just
Yeah.
to take a picture of the army, of the album cover. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Capadonna was photoshopped out of the image,
Really.
because they had some falling out because of money or management or something like that. Now, yeah, they photoshopped the man out of it, and that become the actual final album cover that we see now.
Right.
I don't know the full details about it, but I believe they photoshopped him out of it. I thought the series would have touched on that, but I guess because he was in the group while they were being interviewed, it's just like, all right, well, we wouldn't really talk about that. But I thought that was what they were going for when they hinted at Divine in the final episode, and what
Right.
he was doing, that kind of stuff. But yeah, what I really but it's how they go. All right, what another thing that also caught me is that they didn't really spend too much time with particular artists or particular rappers from the group that I
Nah.
really
Yeah.
appreciate. Like I thought they would
So
have
they
focused on
focus
Jizza a little
first.
bit
Eh?
more. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like to me, Jizza's like probably one of the best MCs in the group. But I thought they would have focused on him more. But
Yeah.
they focus on Method Man. They focus a lot on You God, which caught me by surprise. A little bit on Inspector Deck. A nice little moment with Master Killer and his dad. A lot of moments with Raekwon. I love hearing about his come up. RZA, of course. And I also love how they touch on the whole 5% belief and they go a little in depth into it. Because, like I say, that was what a majority of Wu-Tang Forever was about. But they explained it
Right.
in such a way, and because of the whole political context of it, you understand why they would believe, the black man was God and the whole
Yeah. Yeah.
atheistic
Man.
God, all that kind of stuff. It makes sense. It didn't sound like some kind of highfalutin stuff as you may have imagined it to be the first time you probably hear them talk about peace, God, and all that kind of stuff. That how they explain it
Right.
in the show makes sense. And even like when they talk about Staten Island, like, I didn't even know that place was so violent, had a lot of like racism, racist stuff going on there. You know, like I didn't even know it was that rough there. So seeing their come up by, seeing how far they got because of that, that's just really amazing to me. But of course, you're in America and you're a musician now, so you got to deal with tax and who gained how much money and all that kind of stuff. So I love how they touch on that, but they didn't really spend too much time on it, but they just give you enough to understand. Yeah, this is the struggles of it, but somehow we get over it. And I'll just sum things up before I get to my rating. And that is really what really at the heart and core of who the Wu-Tang is. Like, yes, artists, fell out and they left the group. They went to do their own solo stuff. Some of them still do the solo stuff to this day, but at the end of the day, they are still a brotherhood. They are still family, and it all ties back to the reason why RZA was so attracted to those kung fu flicks to begin with. The idea of brotherhood and strength and courage. United we stand and all that kind of stuff, and how he was able to fuse that with the 5% of stuff, and
Right.
just from where they were raised and what they had to deal with. Yeah, that is why Wu Tang is just such a powerhouse of a brand. You know what I mean? And they really established the whole idea of it being a brand and not just nine rappers rapping over dusty beats. You know what I mean? So really love that. Really how in depth it went over this 4 episode run. And last thing I'll say, what really surprised me by this, but I know for some people they might find it to be a little bit of a nitpick, but I actually loved it, is how it just flowed from topic to topic. It's not like a
Yeah.
straight narrative, straight linear narrative like like Beats Rhymes and Life, but it just flows there. It just kind of meanders from one thing to the next, but it never kind of stays in one place for too long. And it's almost like you listen to an album from them. It's not they're not
Yeah.
gonna just rap about one thing all the time. They're gonna kind of reflect there, and because it's all about reflection, you remember certain things and it will come back up in the next episode or at the next moment. But it never goes from this time point in timeline to now. It just kind of but it kind of flows. But the way how it's edited, the way yeah. And props for the
Yeah.
editing. For this, the editing is so top notch here. The editing, the choices of music, the choices of lines, you know what I mean, and how the lines kind of segue into certain scenes and then back to another one. Yeah, it just made for such an entertaining, a really, insightful documentary. Any last words before we get to rate it?
Yeah, I dug the hell out of this. It just did everything really intelligently in terms of like what you want to tell, who you want to focus on. I was cracking up at just they had a lot of stuff like they debunk a thing that I always thought was true, which was where Protect Your Neck came from,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Stuff like that. I love that they say the album is trash. They hated it. That is the thing
Yeah, the Once
album.
Upon a Time in Charlotte. I love that, by the way. I love that moment.
Yeah. And yeah, it was just generally funny and personable. Everybody, had a really great arc I was going forward. I didn't have any like major problems. It didn't slow down. I wasn't bored at any time for the entire 4 hour. Well, it's about 4 hours, right?
Yeah, the about
Uh,
forward. And
yeah,
even if you find yourself a little bit bored, when you hear the samples from what they use for the beats,
yeah,
when you actually hear the songs playing, when you see the performances, it's just
yeah,
so energetic now because
yeah,
it's recorded live and it's raw. It's like, yeah, you feel in that moment. I just love
yeah,
those performances.
yeah. I can't be mad at any of this. It was just really, really well done overall. Yeah, as I said, I put it on the same, that same roughly the same level because they had a really touching section with Ulti and everything like that.
Yeah.
Um,
That was a really a great moment. I love how
yeah,
they tie it back to his kids and especially how
yeah,
they end that arc in the last
with his
episode.
son.
Like, yeah, with his son, and they show the
Yeah,
Jimmy Kimmel performance, when they
yeah,
perform Protect Your Neck. Yeah, like
yeah,
it works. It really works. Yeah.
yeah.
So I do agree
Um,
with you. I rank this up among there in terms of like similar to Beats Rhymes of Life as one of the best hip hop documentaries like ever made in my opinion. And yeah, hands down, I'm gonna say this is one of the best movies. Yeah, I have to call it a movie, right? If we just connected everything together. Yeah, as one of the best documentaries slash movies slash anything I've seen in 2019. Like this is not pretty much I would admit is not what I expected, but this was way, way, way better than I thought it was going to be. So
yeah,
rating wise for me, this gets a light 4.5 out of 5, man. If you are a Wu-Tang fan, you need to see this shit like right now. If you're not, this gives you more than enough reason for you to understand why they are regarded as one of the best, or I should say the best rap group of all time. Like this movie kind of cements that. It gives you so much detail, stuff that even if you're a Wu-Tang fan, you'll be surprised and shocked that you even know about. You know what I mean? But it just gives you more enough for you to understand their relevance, not just in American music, but just music in general. You know what I mean? In rap music, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, just a powerful, really well told, really well put together docu-series that I strongly recommend, man. So definitely check out Wu-Tang Clan of Mike's and Men. What's your rating?
yeah. Yeah, rating is a 9 out of 10. I didn't expect to enjoy this as much as I did. Pretty good documentary. Yeah, if you're a fan of Wu-Tang, they had little things like play the El Michaels Affair jazz version of
Yes.
Cream and little things like that. No. El Michelle's Affair, sorry.
Yeah.
Little stuff like that. No. Yeah, it's just little nice, well conscientious touches in the filmmaking and in general. Yeah, it's for fans made by a fan, and
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yes. Because Sasha Jenkins, who directed, yeah, clearly you could tell she is a fan of Wu-Tang Clan. You could tell that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't expect them to. I expect to enjoy this that much. This was really, really well done. Yeah, 9 out of 10.
Right. Nice, nice, nice.